It's Carrie with Carrie Carico Real Estate, and I am lucky enough to be here today with the crew from Cultured Canine, Annissia and Alyssa, and we're going to talk all about dog training and just a little bit about their world and like what they do and how they got into this. So like let's just jump right in there. And how did you guys get into dog training?
I mean, I feel like that's a little bit of a loaded question because for each of
Yeah,
us, it was drastically different.
I know. Yeah,
For myself, I started out, I was in college. I was in between different jobs. In the beginning, I just kind of was trying to find something within the animal world. So I went to
yeah,
A&T. I have my animal science degree. And I just wanted something within the animal world. And I happened to be funny enough scrolling on Facebook and I found another company. And so I went and I was like, cool, yeah, I want to work with dogs. I haven't done that specifically before.
yeah,
And I went and started working there kind of as a kennel tech. So cleaning kennels and taking care of the dogs, just basic husbandry of the dogs.
yeah,
And that's where I met Annissia, who was already training at the time.
mhm,
And I just kind of moved up through the ranks. I started cleaning kennels, taking care of the dogs, and then started dabbling in training.
yeah,
After I would get like my normal shift stuff done,
yeah,
and then it just kind of spiraled out of control from there.
yeah.
And then that kind of put me where I am today.
Yeah, 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 for sure. And Anisha, how about you?
So mine is kind of the stereotypical dog trainer,
Yeah,
where you have like a really problem dog, one of your personal dogs. And so my dog Bella, I'd gotten her as a puppy, and she was actually really reactive.
yeah,
So she loved to bite people.
yeah,
And I met a lot of different trainers and started working with them. And it was kind of one of those things where she was kind of a little too reactive for
yeah,
them to want to really touch or deal with her. And unfortunately, their decisions were. I probably needed to behavioral like euthanasia, like
Oh,
behavioral euthanasia with her and
oh,
put her to sleep. And I was like, well, that's not an option. And so
yeah,
I jumped into the training world because I wanted to save my personal dog. And through that, I figured out I really loved it. And I loved working with her. We had a blast and we developed this really cool relationship. She's now 12, so she didn't
yeah,
have to be euthanized. She's really awesome and she's good with everybody. But once I kind of got into it, maybe like a year or so in, I
mhm,
got another dog that kind of tested me a lot more
yeah,
than the first one did. Like I needed that, but
yeah,
and then I got a job as a trainer, and so I just worked part time. I was a vet tech alongside that, and
mhm,
moved myself up, and I became their head trainer. We worked there for a couple of years. Alyssa and I worked together
yeah,
for a couple of years there, and then we decided let's we can do this a little better. And so
yeah.
we decided to start Cultured about 5 years ago. I think it's been
Okay,
5 years now.
yeah,
And then we got our facility 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah, and you guys are pretty amazing. I mean, you guys know my dog Ellie, and
Ellie girl, we
yeah,
love
she,
her.
she has so many issues,
She's
but
full of personality.
she
Yes.
is. She's the best girl though. Yeah, she listens to me, not Chad. Still, she only listens to me. That's okay. But so with your guys's, since you're like all into training, you do such a great job. What let's kind of go a little bit like what all do you guys do there at Cultured?
So we do kind of a little bit of everything. Our main kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily our main focus, it kind of just fell into our lap. So Ellie went through one of our inboard programs,
Yeah,
but along with that, we deal with a lot of reactive dogs, whether it's people reactivity, dog reactivity. And that's primarily focused on in that inboard program, but we do offer like private sessions and boarding and daycares and just kind of a little bit of everything.
yeah,
Um, and we just help all sorts of different dogs out, whether it's just generalized obedience, like I just need Fido to sit when I ask him
yeah,
to, you know, like Annissia and Bella, I need my dog to stop trying to hurt things. I need it
yeah,
to be okay with life. We get a lot of dogs in that are just the sweetest dogs ever, but they're so overwhelmed by just life in general, and just helping them kind of have that sigh of relief of like, it's okay to be alive. It's okay to just go out to a park. Nothing's going to kill you. You are okay. And then just building on that, building relationships, and then teaching the owners how to build a relationship with their own dog so that they can just enjoy life with their dog.
Yeah.
Also do service and therapy work too.
Okay.
So
okay.
It's something that like we don't necessarily, I wouldn't say advertise, but people find us and you know, they have a dog that they think is good for therapy work, basically where they could go into schools, nursing homes, anything like that. We do that. We have a current dog in that we're selling to an elementary school to be a therapy dog. We have a lot of service dogs out there. We have a lot of therapy dogs out there. So we also do that. It's just not necessarily advertised because it does take a little bit of time, but it's something that we are pretty good at as well.
Yeah, very cool. So what is your philosophy when it comes to like dog therapy and just like the overall, like what is you, because I know you guys have a pretty unique way of training and looking at the relationship between a dog and an owner. Can you guys kind of go into that a little bit? Because I know with me, with Elle, like you guys have really helped a lot.
Yeah. So like
the relationship.
Yeah, so we kind of it depends on whether the people come to us with their personal dog or they come to us with can you help me find a dog? So like the dog we have currently, they came to us and they said, I need a dog to fit this. And so we needed to find a dog that was going to go into an elementary school and provide just that comfort or just, you know, that joy of having a dog there, maybe sit down and read to her or something like that. And so us kind of going, all right, this is what you need specifically. And then we're testing dogs from there. We're, you know, finding dogs that need new homes, whether it be in shelters or that dog just doesn't fit for that family anymore. And we're just going and finding that perfect match. Or we have people come to us and they're like, I have maybe bad anxiety and I need a dog to help me in these specific avenues. And then we kind of go, all right, well, then is that dog going to work for you? Is it going to work for that service in general, or is it going to work for you as a handler? So you could have a dog that you have a great relationship with, but maybe it doesn't do well for the job, or it doesn't do well like working for you as a service dog, if that makes sense.
And I think in like with just pet dogs, it's also important to like we do, it's not one size fits all. So we want to make sure that like the advice that we give you with your particular dog fits what works well for your family and your particular dog. And so like with like Ellie, for example, like she needed a leader, and that's why she listens to you so well, is because she needed someone to be like, you can't do that, like for your safety and the safety of others, like you cannot behave in this certain manner. And when you tell her that, she's like, oh, like I just needed you to tell me. And so people don't realize how much relationship plays into behaviors like that. And so people think that having a wonderful relationship with your dog is just loving your dog. And it's not necessarily that. It's not just petting your dog and giving them kisses and just feeding them. It's more than that. It's the times that you spend, you know, like sitting there on the couch and, you know, and just hanging out with your dog. But it's also the times that you spend telling them like, this is the boundary that I have, you know, I'll let you do this, but I'm not going to let you do that. And so that all plays into it. And a lot of people don't realize that sometimes telling your dog is okay. Telling your dog no is okay. Like you have to do that occasionally to just, you know, have a wonderful relationship with them. And it's a give and take, just like with people. You need boundaries when you're working with people.
We love boundaries.
You need boundaries when working with your own dog. And that does, that helps. And so I feel like when you have a better relationship with your dog, that the therapeutic nature that they bring to it is more beneficial because it's genuine versus like a codependent nature, which we often see with dog training. A lot of our clients have this like codependent relationship with their dog, and it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And so if we can clear up some of the relationship issues, then the relationship that they then have is a healthy one.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. And like I was thinking about today, Ellie is obsessed with the dishwasher and it drives me nuts because
Out of all the things, she's so
leave,
funny.
like
We love it.
I am emptying it. Just leave me alone. So it was funny today. I just looked at her and I said, go sit in your bed. Get in your bed. And Chad was like, oh my gosh, here she goes. She's listening to you. And she just sat there. And I was like, okay, we'll
It's
see.
because you reinforce other things.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not just that particular thing.
Exactly.
Ellie's like,
Yeah.
oh, like when she tells me something, she means what she says, and I'm just going to do it because this is what mom wants.
Yeah, yeah, it was funny though because she waited the whole time because it drives me nuts. Get away from the dishwasher. When you're,
Place, yeah, you should always put her in place.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I didn't have time to put her in place. So I just told her to sit in her bed, and she did.
She's
Yeah, she's a good girl. So what do you feel like is the biggest, like the most common issue you see with the dogs that come in? Do you have anything that's pretty common or across the board?
For me, I would say since COVID, it's fear.
Yeah.
See
Lack of
that.
socialization and fear. We're getting a lot of dogs in with separation anxiety. We're getting a lot of dogs in that have like never really been out of the house.
Yeah.
Because what's happened is where we were home for that period
Yeah.
of time, obviously people stopped taking their dogs out, but then not just that, we altered all of the genetics when we're breeding these said dogs that are now under socialized. So now we're a couple generations in of super
Yeah.
under socialized dogs.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing a lot of that. Even if, you're not getting a purebred dog, you're getting a dog from the shelter or anything like that, there's still the second or third generation of now super under socialized dogs. So we're getting a lot of fear-based issues and under socialized, just dogs that need a big confidence boost.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Well, I was going to switch gears real quick, and then we'll come back to this a little bit more of like what you guys do in training. But I know, Annissia, you do some pretty cool stuff because I get to see it online, and I love your dog. And I know you do a lot of like search and rescue work, we'll say, with your dog. Can you explain how you got into that and just a little bit about that?
Yeah. So at the time, I had I guess Willow would have been like 3 or 4-year-old Belgian Malinois, and
Yeah.
we were just hanging out and having fun. I was a dog trainer at this point,
Yeah.
and then I was like, I'm gonna get a puppy, and that's probably not the best way to handle things, but I decided to get a puppy. I knew I wanted to do search and rescue with her.
Yeah.
Actually, with her, she does search and recovery, so she's only trained for remains detection.
Yeah.
So I had started that journey. I found a local team. When I put my mind to something, like it's just gonna get done.
Yeah.
So if you tell me no, it's just gonna make me want to do it even more.
Yeah.
So I joined a local team and got started, but the team that I joined actually didn't do human remains detection, and that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not doing anything with this puppy unless it's that. I just knew she was going to be a wonderful fit for that.
Yeah.
And then I had my older dog, and they were like, well, you can do live find search and rescue. And so basically the difference is, one, we're finding live victims, and then one, we're finding people who already are deceased.
Yeah.
So I started live find search and rescue with that dog, and I ended up getting her certified in about 6 months, and which is a little bit quicker than normal. Usually it's about 2 years that it takes.
Wow.
And so I just kind of went all in and started working on that. And then about 18 months, my puppy that I had gotten to be a cadaver dog, she was certified, so she was able to go out on deployments. So we stayed with that team for a couple of years, and then that team actually disbanded. And then I found my team, which I'm the assistant director of.
Yeah.
And so we get about 70 call outs a year. So we did about 2 weeks in Hurricane Helene. So we were in Asheville and McDowell County and Madison County. So we hopped around for that. But that's kind of how I got started. I just got a puppy, and I was like, this is a great idea. Yeah. And it's a lot of work. So I probably wouldn't recommend that to a beginner wanting to get into it. Don't get the puppy.
Don't follow her footsteps.
Don't
not like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So when you were working in, d during the hurricane, I can't talk today, during the like, Western Carolina and that, what kind of experience was that? Like, what'd you take from all that? Because that was like overwhelming, I'm sure.
Yeah, so we were actually, so we had two certified dogs on our team. We were
Yeah,
the first cadaver dogs in Western North Carolina
yeah,
in the entire state.
that's crazy.
So we were there the first normal day, so the
Oh,
day after.
oh,
We show up and it kind of looked normal when we pulled it. We were deployed. We have to be deployed through emergency management. And
mhm.
so Asheville Fire and Rescue actually called us out. So we get there the next day. We couldn't get there the day of because
Yeah,
the roads were completely closed. So we had a police escort out. And we get there and it actually looked normal in downtown
yeah,
Asheville. So I was like, yeah, you saw all of the videos online. I'm sure everybody saw
yeah,
like the U-Hauls, floating away in the river and
yeah,
just kind of mass destruction, houses flowing down the river. And so I'm like, why are we here?
yeah,
But then we got our first deployment, and our first deployment was in the Tunnel Road area, and there's this bridge, and there was this house on the bridge, and half of the bridge was gone.
yeah,
And they
yeah,
were like, we need you to search the house on the bridge with the river flowing underneath it. And I'm like, you know, so we pull up and it's kind of surreal. I
yeah,
don't like devastation is not even a word that
yeah,
we could use. I mean, it's been 7 months since Helene, and it taught us a lot of things,
mhm.
but it was rough. And
Yeah,
Western North Carolina is going to take a while to
yeah,
recover from destruction
yeah.
that big.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so amazing because when you read and you see a little bit more about it, people don't realize how bad it is up there, And so, yeah, I could imagine this emotionally and like just the hours you spent up there was probably pretty tough. So,
Yeah, yeah.
how long did you spend up there? Like 2 weeks? Is that right? I can't
Yeah, a
remember.
little under 2 weeks, and then we
Yeah.
had travel. It took us a whole day to get in there because of the roads. There's a
Yeah.
lot of detouring and a lot of police escorts to be
Mhm.
able to get in.
Yeah.
And then we came home, you know, about 12, 13 days in, I think, just
Yeah.
with the travel.
Mhm.
So yeah, we didn't have running water, and I know that the area didn't have running water until months later. But obviously, we didn't have any cell phone service. We didn't have running water. We
Yeah.
didn't have any electricity.
Mhm.
So no, we didn't really have any way to like communicate with our families that we were
Yeah.
okay, and we were in some very dangerous areas. So yes, it was obviously destruction for all of the residents.
Yeah.
It took a lot of time to evacuate, especially in the areas that we went to,
Yeah.
where you could see the floodwaters about 30 feet tall.
That's
And we were
crazy.
searching third-story condos, and you had 18 inches of mud in the third story. And so we were searching every condo just to see if there had been somebody who had failed to evacuate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was bad. We didn't have the resources that we needed either. Thankfully, my friends and family back here, they sent a care package
Mhm.
about 5 to 7 days in. But because we weren't able to,
Yeah.
we didn't have bathrooms, we didn't have running water, we couldn't shower.
Mhm.
About a weekend, they were able to get like shower trailers for us first responders, but
Yeah.
we were out there every day without the resources that we really needed. It's hard to find gas
Yeah.
to be able to keep deploying. So, yeah, it was pretty difficult, but the residents had it way worse.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah,
just there.
definitely. Yeah, you were there for a short time. And you, did you go back again after that, those couple weeks, or I couldn't remember if you did.
So I did not, but my dog, who is certified with another
Yeah,
groomer, did.
yeah,
So yeah, so I couldn't get time. I mean,
yeah,
I was able to take so much time away, and like I cannot say enough about the staff who was able to just
yeah,
step up and help out here, because we would not have been able to do. I would not have been able to do what I did without
yeah,
them. To be
yeah,
here to take care of the business, like the business is more than a full-time job.
yeah,
We have everybody's babies here.
Yeah.
So I just could not justify taking another week off to go. We have, at the point, there were about 4 other missing people that we were like currently looking for. And so some of my teammates, they actually just took my dog and they went for about a week. And I stayed back here, and I was happy to get my dog home when she got home. But I'm glad she was able to go back and help. She actually sustained some like orthopedic issues after, so she had an MRI today to hopefully rule out some things. But she has some spinal trauma from working in the hurricane. So it's rough on them too. People don't realize, not necessarily emotionally, but physically, that was a very rough deployment for our dogs. They're still needed. The week before Helene hit, we worked a flooded area in the Haw River and found a missing person who had been swept away. And that was just a week before, and we were doing very strenuous things. And then the next week it was 14-hour days with the hurricane flood victims. So it's a lot on the dogs. It was a lot on us emotionally and physically, but it was a lot physically on the dogs.
I can imagine that. That'd be crazy. But I mean, just the amount of hours. I don't think I could push Ellie to go that many hours. So
Ellie would be like, "Let's take a nap right here." The
Ellie would totally. He would just like sit and be like, I'm not going anywhere. Treats maybe. I'll go a little further, but not
in the much. It was they were up to their shoulders and stuck like. And I'm like, I can't help you. You're gonna have to, because I couldn't get out to them. That's why we have dogs, so that they can go a little bit further. But they would get stuck, and if they were any normal dogs, so the types of dogs that I choose to work are high energy, high drive, like your crazy like my dog's Malinois. That's usually what I work. They're very stable, and so any normal dog would kind of fall through the debris pile a little bit and be like, "Oh, I'm never going back on that again. That was a horrible experience." Or they would get stuck in the mud or stuck in the briars, or lose their traction on a collapsed structure. And our dogs were like, I'm just gonna try it again, or figure their way out. And so I'm very thankful for the type of dog that I work, because if I didn't work that type of dog, this would not have been a wonderful deployment for her. You needed a very solid dog for this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's switch kind of like, we'll go back into the training. What kind of like tips would you give like a new dog owner? And I know we're just abruptly switching, but I figured we'll just switch back into like you guys' training, and any tips you would give a new dog owner, or people who are wanting to adopt a rescue dog. Because I thought it would be a little easier until I had Ellie, and then I realized, I mean, her personality is so different than most dogs. And I'm like, so now I think about it. So
I think the number one thing, or like the first thing that kind of pops out into my head is socialization from day one. And it's not just like, I'm going to go take my dog to the dog park and let him romp around with all the dogs, and I'm going to let them meet every person. It's giving them experiences, letting them hear things, letting them see things, letting them experience the world, and just letting it happen. Not going, I'm so sorry that you're scared, and whisking them away and never taking them back to that store again. It's letting them, it's okay if they're a little scared, it's okay if they're a little nervous, but letting them constantly be exposed to things so that they become more and more stable. And now you can't sit there and go, okay, well, expose your dog to everything and they'll be the most stable, but you're going to have them more set up for success that way. And you can do the same thing, even if you're not getting like a brand new puppy. If you're getting a dog from the shelter, start with that exposure training, that socialization, getting them exposed to all the sights and the sounds, letting them experience the world, and just keep going from there.
Yeah.
And if I had to add to that, because that's like 100%, I would agree. Like that's my number one thing. The second thing is allowing them to like, and it's a healthy balance, but allowing them to find value in you and not everything else. And so what I mean by that is, it's like, that goes back to that relationship that you have with the dog. And I don't want them to be the Velcro dog where if you walk out of the room, they're just like, oh my goodness, my world is crashing down. Yeah. We want them to be able to be okay with that. But also when you're out in public and you're doing these things with your dog, I want them to check back in and look to you and be like, oh, you're still there, just making sure, like acknowledging that there's somebody at the other end of the leash.
Yeah.
And that they're not just doing whatever they want to do. Allowing them to see that, you are more valuable than other worldly things, I think is super important. That goes back to relationship and building a really nice relationship with your dog.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. And it's funny too, because also letting them have, I feel like, oh, I've learned this from you guys, letting them have their own personality because Ellie just is an introvert. She just doesn't like, and that was the hard thing. It's like, we try to socialize her with things and she's like, yeah, I'm not having it. I mean, I'm not into that. So
100%. I think that's another thing where
yeah,
it's very important to allow your dog to just be themselves. And so sometimes it's about picking and choosing what's like super important to you. Like
yeah,
we have talks with clients all the time. And it's like, you want this social outgoing dog that just like can be pet by everybody and like can go to the dog park and do whatever. And like most people don't have that dog. It's a very small number of people who actually have a dog that enjoys that. So what happens is they push their dog so much that they end up with a bite.
yeah.
And so the other thing is or they micromanage their dog so much that their dog their dog doesn't want anything to do with them because they're just constantly nitpicking. Just like people wouldn't like that. Your dog doesn't like it either. Allow them some space to just kind of be who they are. And you don't want a robot. We want a dog that's a nice companion and a family member, not a robot.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, and that was the big thing because I've had two other Goldens, which were so different than Ellie. And then Ellie is like,
Ellie's not typical Golden whatsoever.
No. And it's so funny because I explained to people, I'm like, she's really like an introvert. And they're like, what? No, I don't know. She's so cute. She's a Golden. I'm like, no, really. She really is like, she likes people, but I mean, and we take her everywhere, but she's still, she just, likes, she does her own thing. I mean, she's not super like social or, she's very friendly, but she's not like super social with people and our pets, other dogs. You guys know that. We've been working on that and she still doesn't like other dogs much.
Okay, that's her.
As long as you can pass them, we're good. Like you don't need to play with everybody, And that's a human thing where like we think that dogs just want to go out and like visit everybody and they are social, and some dogs do. I'm not, not putting it in a box. But the majority of dogs, especially that we get in, they don't need or want to go up to every single dog. And if you do allow your dog, even if they're super, super friendly, to go up to every single dog that they see, one, that might freak another dog out and we're like not respecting their boundaries, and that's not okay. But two, then you're just going to have a dog that's like super excited when they see other dogs. And in that moment that they can't actually get to that other dog, there's a potential they're going to come reactive because you in the past have let them see all the other dogs. Then you broke that contract with one dog and said, hey, nope, not this one. And so that might frustrate them. So some dogs just don't like it. And we have to be respectful of them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the biggest things. And yeah, I agree with you. And I didn't think about a lot of those kind of different things until literally having her because her personality is so different and not a bad way. I mean, I love her personality, but she is quirky.
She is quirky. She is quirky. She's not typical Golden, but you love her anyway. And figuring out what works for you guys. And that's the biggest thing. I think another bit of advice would be is be a little bit flexible because like they are their own being. Like you said, they have their own personality. It would literally be like somebody coming in and being like, okay, well, like, I know you like this color, but this needs to be your favorite color. And like, that doesn't seem natural, and we wouldn't do that to another person. And so trying to like change your dog's personality when it's just not meant to be is, to me, unfair.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't think I understood that. I have never had to deal with that until with Elle. And then I'm like, oh yeah, no, she's got her own thing. So you just let her do it. And she hates the ocean and that's okay.
So does one of my dogs. It just happens. Like, and I'm not going to force it, but you can watch all your other siblings play in the water.
That's right.
Yeah, that's Ellie. She doesn't like getting dirty. She's like,
I know. She's a little prissy.
She is so prissy. She doesn't like the weather. She's like, yeah. And you're like, okay. But we make her deal with it. it, with the rain. It's gonna rain. Get over it. So, you know,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. So what kind of what is all the different training programs you have? Just really quick, and then I'll let you guys go because I know you're super busy, but just so everybody knows what all different because you have a lot of different training programs. Because I know you have like the puppy program, correct? And then you have what Ellie went through and which what do you want to go over those real quick?
Yeah, so we have for like our inboard programs, we have our puppy inboard program, which is the dog comes and stays with us for a handful of weeks. That's
Yeah.
typically under 6 months old.
Okay.
Once they hit about 6 months old or a little bit over, then we have our basic on leash obedience.
Yeah.
We have basic obedience with off leash recall. We have advanced obedience as well, which is typically an all off leash completely program.
Yeah.
We have private sessions. We've got daycare and train. We've got board and train.
Daycare.
Regular daycare, regular
Yeah.
boarding.
You got a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you guys have community programs that you work in the community as well, or just only at the facility?
We typically only work at the facility. We do offer for all of our clients that have gone through inboard. We do try to get out into public every other Friday at Tanglewood.
Okay.
And do kind of like a group walk. So anyone that's gone through an inboard comes and just kind of exists with us, because a lot of our dogs that have gone through inboard tend to be reactive in some capacity. So it's a great way for those owners to get out and have that confidence of taking their dogs for a walk with one of us being present.
Yeah.
Or we try to be as present as we can. And then if those dogs, we find dogs that really can benefit from meeting out in public, where it's at like Lowe's, a park like Tanglewood, Tractor Supply. We will accommodate and meet for those, as well as doing home lessons if it's 100% needed, but it's not our go-to. We don't run to that right away. It's typically we try a handful of sessions, or do as much as we can at the facility first, and then kind of switch things as that dog needs it.
Yeah. And it's really about what works best for the people and for the dogs. Like we have certain dogs that are super reactive, and we'll get, friends, family members, people who, we know that might, be a trigger for that particular dog. And we have them come in and help us with those particular dogs, because what often happens is the dogs will come in and they'll be wonderful for Alyssa and I. And, as you know, we have like 10 other people here on staff. And so it's wonderful. We can add to that dog's book of safe people, and we get the staff in, but then we need to start bringing in other people that can follow directions and not set this dog up for failure. And so we get a lot of our friends and family members that can come in and help. And then also to meet us out in public, or like with our therapy dog right now, we have so many people that are just like, it takes a village, that have stepped up and just like, I'll take this dog out in the public, so it's not just bonding too much to us. So we utilize that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I definitely want you guys to come on again, and we can talk more about just different topics, because I know that after after everyone sees this, there's going to be a million questions about different, all different things. So I'd love if you guys could come on again and we could chat about different topics. We'll just see kind of what pops up. And I appreciate it so much, you guys coming on and chatting with us. And if you guys need to get a hold of Annissia and Alyssa at Cultured Canine, all of their information will be below in the comments, and you can always reach out to me. I definitely know how to find them, because they help me a lot with Elle. And they trust Ellie, and so we visit a lot with Ellie. Ellie's quirky, doesn't like staying other places. So.
She does fine here, so
that's great.
We'll she goes here.
But I leave her anywhere else, and she's quirky girl. But anyways, again, I appreciate you guys coming on so much, and I hope you guys come on again. But and I hope you guys have a good week.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, and I'll see you guys later.
All right, see ya.